Live now.
Alright.
Alright. Yep.
Hello, folks. We are back with a late special Star Wars Day episode of Storytime with Scrappy. I am, reluctantly, Scrappy Fan 92. And with us today is a mostly new cast. Once again, serving as the reluctant recorder of our antics is Harry. Say hello to the kids.
Hi, I'm still here. Yes, I'm still alive.
Oh, thank goodness.
Also here is Savior once more.
Hello, I'm here once again.
Oh god.
Is there something wrong with my voice?
Yeah, keep that voice for 3PO. We might.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, okay. I'll just do that. I guess I'm 3PO now.
And with us here to do actual reading for the first time is Jason.
I thought he was dead.
Oh god.
Okay, now he is dead.
Oh no.
No, never mind, he's back.
Sorry, I hate my phone sometimes. I have the page open ready regardless.
Now, our mission statement for Storytime with Scrappy, as has been said in the previous 4 times, and I'm going to presume all of you watch our episodes, all 12 hours of it. The mission statement for Storytime with Scrappy is to find and showcase fanfiction that we believe is of good quality. We have gone through comedy, and in a previous episode, this audio is going to be cutting out for me, and I hate it already. We have gone through comedy, and in the previous episode, we went through a romance story, and we all enjoyed it, so we're doing another romance story.
Oh god, I didn't know that was our topic.
We're gonna do 2 for 2.
Yes.
Right. Well, I'm here, and I might as well stick it through.
Our original plan was to have 2 stories read today, but unfortunately we were not able to find a suitable second one in time, so we will just go with a single one-shot Star Wars story today.
There was like another one I found that I've shown Scrappy before, but it's like 8,000 words long or something, and I don't think we have time for that today. So that might be.
Well, that's one is 4K.
Yeah, so that might be next time, depending on what happens. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I just noticed that you're. Oh wait, no, it's gonna be hard for me not to focus on the stream, but. Probably should be having the stream up.
Yeah, we were supposed to start recording this around 7 p.m. Eastern time, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, it's 9:40 Eastern right now.
At the time of this recording.
Yeah, my 7 o'clock schedule is more of a light suggestion at this point.
Oof.
Good
You
job,
cannot-
Owen, you hit nothing.
What'd you say, Jason?
Don't worry. Sorry, I'm looking at,
You're cutting out.
the stream. I'm sorry.
Alright, that's fine. Harry, how is my audio on playback?
You don't seem to be cutting out nearly as much as before, so it should be fine. I'll let you know if anything bad happens.
Thank you very much.
Oh, by the way, Harry, I'll be on standby if we need to talk about the game at all. Hopefully I don't need to, but...
Since we kept Harry very preoccupied last time with introductions, I'll try to jump right into this. today's episode will be focused on a single story, and it is a Star Wars story, as I said before. And this one chronologically takes place after the events of Star Wars Episode 9, which only released less than half a year ago. So you've been warned.
And
Spoilers.
It's on Disney Plus now, so if you have it and you haven't watched it, then you have no excuse. Unless you really didn't care for the Disney trilogy, then either way, we're going in.
Yeah, the fact that we're already talking about this trilogy means some people have already clicked out of this video. Lucky us. So yeah, it takes place after the events of Star Wars Episode 9, and if you are even remotely familiar with the events of the sequel trilogy, then you probably know who the two main characters of the story are.
Even though it really doesn't make any sense, because I mean, one of the characters is dead, so one of the characters shouldn't even be alive at this point. But whatever.
And that's where the magic comes in, Savior.
Yep, that's the power of fan fiction for you.
No, it's sort of like how when I saw this Budokai Tenkaichi thing, it said it's right after the Saiyan saga, although Bruce People is alive. Regardless.
I couldn't quite catch all of that.
Me making fun of the easy.
Excuse me. So, yes. Main characters, Rey and her lover, I say with a question mark,
Yep.
Kylo Ren. So that's the foundation of the story. Two star-crossed lovers who have a big obstacle called death in between them. And that's the foundational context you'll get. Now we get into the story proper.
Chewbacca and C-3PO are also in this story,
Yep.
by the way.
All right, let us begin. Excuse me. The title of the story, yeah, we need to provide that. The title of the story is Festival of the Ancestors by V.R. Trakowski. This was published May 2nd of this year, so it's recent.
And the brief description is, after she gets back from Tatooine, Rey is ordered to go have fun. When she gives it a try, the universe has a surprise for her.
Thank you. I forgot to read that. All right, so
Yes?
my throat is not meant for this.
Leave it to me.
All right,
I have been chosen.
story begins. Being alone made Rey restless. After Exegol, after Tatooine, after
I have been
everything,
chosen.
she'd returned to the Resistance base only to find it almost abandoned. Finn and Rose and Poe, Chewie and the droids had waited for her, but they were almost the only ones left. And while there were lively debates during supper over what they would do next, Rey didn't have an opinion. Oh sure, she meant to train other Jedi, eventually. But the task seemed huge from where she was standing. She'd need some place to house students, some way to support them, ways to find them. The list went on. And she was tired. Coming back from the dead was exhausting, it seemed. She'd told Chewbacca about Ben on Exegol, but only Chewie, because he was the only one who didn't make a face when she said Ben's name.
Leave it to me.
But it didn't ease the hurt. It was Poe who noticed, for all Rey tried to hide her mood.
Right.
I can see you're unhappy, he said quietly, as the others discussed ship repairs and hyperlane coordinates. Rey, you're allowed to be. After what we went through, what you went through, give yourself a break. He put an arm around her shoulders, and she leaned into him. And I would like to apologize in advance to every British person alive or dead right now for what's about to happen. Oh gosh. I don't know what to do with myself. Oh gosh. La, 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 la. I don't know. I don't know what to do with myself, she admitted, keeping her voice low. It's a thing. They taught us about it in training, Poe said. Even victories can leave you flattened. Ray nodded, not trying to explain that it wasn't just the aftermath of the battle that had made her sad. It still haunted her, as deep a wound as her parents leaving. Ben, free of the darkness at last, with her, smiling. And the next moment, his last breath had lingered longer than his body. She was so empty inside, and Ray knew that no one else could ever fill that space. Listen, Poe shifted, gripping Ray's shoulders and catching her gaze. Take some time. Do something, I don't know, relaxing. Fun. When's the last time you had fun? Ray thought for a moment, distracted. The Falcon's guns live under her hands, sky and land slipping past, tides spinning away in bursts of flame. The Battle of Crate? Poe gave her an unamused look. Yeah, definitely time to take it easy. He gave her a gentle squeeze and let her go. Seriously, Ray, go do something just because you want to. The galaxy can wait. Sure, Ray muttered. I'll have fun then. The trouble was, fun wasn't something Ray did. It wasn't that she didn't enjoy herself from time to time, and not just when shooting down enemy fighters. She'd had exhilarating moments during training, beaten Finn at hand-to-hand and lost to Rose at droid trivia, flown a ship up from night into shimmering dawn. But she'd never had time to seek it out, certainly not as an adult. There had been the little games and imaginings she'd played as a child, but that had been long ago. And anyway, what toys she'd retained had been left behind on Jakku. The closest she'd come was the flight simulator, and even that had ceased to be a challenge. Ray tried to remember what she'd done recently that had been fun. The only thing that came to mind was those few minutes when a festival on Pasana had unfolded before her. More people and color and merriment than she'd ever seen before. Music and stories and people being happy. She set aside the memory of the dyad bond opening and spoiling it all, concentrating instead on the smells, the sounds. Yes, that was fun. It didn't take her long to track down C-3PO. Ray suspected that he and R2 were at a bit of a loss. The deaths of Luke and Leia and Ben left them unowned. And while there were plenty of droids... Xavier, I'm not done.
Xavier, we can hear it.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe just wait until we actually.
Okay, I turned it off. I didn't think you'd be able to hear it. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get my speakers back. Maybe I should get my headphones actually, although it might be a little loud.
Ray suspected that he... What'd you say, Jason?
Hang on, I'm getting a microphone test, alright?
Alright.
Test.
Hello.
Do I sound fine?
You sound alright.
Okay, continue.
Chosen. Leave it to me.
You sounded fine, and then you kind of started going robot voice again.
Oh, great. Not much I can do.
Alright, Ray suspected that he and R2 were at a bit of a loss. The deaths of Luke and Leia, and Ben, left them unowned. And while there were plenty of droids in the galaxy who did fine on their own, she thought that maybe they were a little sad too.
Okay, here we go.
of course, Mrs. Ray.
But it's a loss.
3PO said when she asked.
I'm delighted to answer them. Whatever questions you have about the galaxy's choices in entertainment.
This is a great idea.
Ray
Definitely.
smiled. Ray smiled at him. Poe found a protocol droid annoying, but Ray liked him, fussy as he was. And she remembered the sacrifice he'd made, even if they had rather pressured him into it. Basically, I'm looking for something like the Festival of the Ancestors on Pasana. I liked that one. It would be nice to see something like it.
Oh, there are any number of similar events.
3PO said, turning up one stiff hand.
Some focus on honoring and I'm sorry, what does this say? And
Antecedents.
some focusing on honoring antecedents, some on food and display. But you are aware that the festival lasts a planetary month, are you not?
Ray blinked. You mean it's still going on? She and Chewbacca took 3PO with them, R2 whistling dire warnings as they climbed the ramp into the Falcon.
Oh great, I see something I'm gonna have to do coming up.
I'm certain we'll be fine.
3PO called back.
This is a holiday, not a mission.
Ray had to grin at R2's loudly expressed doubt.
Yes?
She joined Chewie in the cockpit, and soon the green moon was rolling away beneath them as the Falcon headed for open space.
How do I do this? Should I just like say like this?
Yeah, and I'll just do a translator's note.
Wait, so like actually do that voice?
You can speak in whatever
Screw it.
voice you like.
Screw it. I'll just do noises. Which translates to. Let's avoid
avoid
the
the sans-
this time. Okay, I'll do it like that. I'll just say noise will translate to him, and you go.
Alright. Let's avoid the sand snakes this
Keep going.
time, Chewbacca said, and Ray snickered. I don't think they come to the festival. Are you going to join me, or excuse me. Are you going to join me, or do you want to stay in the Falcon?
What? Okay, I'll just read it. I can't like. Legendary sweets. Well, no one's shooting at us. Screw it, that'll do.
Thank you. That's a good plan. It did feel strange to be traveling. Excuse me. It did feel strange to be traveling without any urgent goal or deadline, and Ray babied the Falcon a bit. They would reach Pasana in time for the last day of the celebration. No need to hurry. They found the same windswept landing spot and scrambled down to the desert floor. Ray almost tripped several times, gaze drawn inexorably back to the hundreds of kites fluttering against the sky. The festival was as joyous as she remembered, and the music as thunderous, the smells as delicious. Ray touched a small pouch at her belt, where she'd stashed a precious handful of credit. It had taken a lot of internal argument to allow herself the idea of spending money on something. Excuse me. It had taken her. Excuse me. It had taken a lot of internal argument to allow herself the idea of spending money on something frivolous. But when she told Poe where she was going, he'd promptly issued her funds from the Resistance treasury, calling it back pay, and telling her she wasn't allowed back until she'd spent them. Chewie immediately split off, heading for a bank of food vendors. Go with him, Ray told 3PO. I'll be fine.
If you're sure, Mistress Ray.
3PO said, and Ray patted his shoulder. 3PO said,
I'll do some kind of dumb back and forth skit.
Go on.
Not right now, obviously.
No,
Oh
yeah,
no,
Ray.
man, it's Ray still.
Yeah, that's Ray speaking.
Oh.
3PO said, and Ray patted his shoulder. 3PO said, and Ray patted his shoulder. Go on, save the vendors from his temper. She watched him vanish into the. Excuse me. She watched him vanish into the crowd. The rigid gold figure, following the hairy head that bobbed above all the other beings, and turned away with a smile. Communion with the Jedi of the past had brought her certain advantages, and one of them was a deepened sense of other sentient creatures. Rey couldn't speak the tongue she heard all around her, but she was able to understand quite a bit of it now. For a while, she just wandered, taking in the sights and sounds, feeling her own grief ease a little as the joyful rhythm of the festival surrounded her. The puppet theater was closed, but there were clusters of small children playing some kind of game that involved hoops and round stones. And Rey stood for a while to listen to them chatter and laugh. She watched kite combats and rituals involving small objects tossed into fires, got swept up into a complicated line dance got swept up into a complicated line dance arm in arm with robed elders, and sampled a half dozen foods before splurging on an entire flask of water. Ray saw Chewbacca and C-3PO once, the former seated at a table and playing a board game with an Aki-Aki almost as large as he, while 3PO watched and offered comment that no one paid attention to. It took Ray a few hours to notice that not all of the crowd was It took Ray a few hours to notice that not all of the crowd was corporeal. She'd gotten used to seeing Force ghosts lately, or at least as used as anyone got. But these spirits weren't limbed in blue. They looked solid and ordinary, except for the way they passed right through people and objects, casting no shadows. For a moment, Ray thought that she was the only one who could perceive them, until she saw a living Aki-Aki bow to a spirit one, respectful but unconcerned. Oh, I guess the ancestor part isn't just a name then. As the high blue day mellowed into a golden evening, and the colored smoke grew thicker, excuse me. My dog was barking, pardon me. Is everyone still here?
No.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Alright.
I think Harry's there.
Harry should be muted right now. He usually stays muted while
Yeah,
we record this.
I'm still here. I'm just,
Oh, okay.
As the high blue day mellowed into golden evening and the colored smoke grew thicker, Ray wandered on, nodding to living and spirit alike, humming along to music and walking in time with the drums. It was such a new experience, to be in a crowd but not to be on guard. She had no mission and no deadline. And while Ray knew that Chewie would come look for her if she didn't turn up at the Falcon eventually, she had hours yet. She couldn't help one, excuse me, She couldn't help wondering what it she couldn't help wondering what it would be like to see her own ancestors in the crowd. A wistful imagining, though she barely remembered her parents' faces. Still, a tug at her leggings made her look down. There you are, someone said triumphantly, and Ray grinned. Nambi Gimba. I mispronounced that. Nambi Gima, she said in greeting, and crouched down to the child's level. It's good to see you again. Welcome, Nambi said with ceremonial gravity. I'm glad you have returned to celebrate with us. Thank you. The hours of observation had given Ray a better idea of proper local etiquette, and she held out both hands. I'm very glad to be here. Nambi clasped Ray's fingers in her own. Her skin was hot and suede, far softer than Ray's. Come, she said, beaming. You are waited for. Ray blinked. Ray blinked, not quite sure what Nambi meant, but the child was delighted, and it was easy to stand and let her tug Ray along through the swaying throng. Where's your necklace? Oh gosh. Where's your Oh gosh. Where is your necklace? Nambi was
I
saying.
can try.
Nambi was saying, and Ray winced. You're free to try, Jason. It got broken, she said, keeping it simple. The memory was a jumble of anger and defiance, and filtered through what had come later, regret. Some part of her wondered exactly what Kylo Ren had done with it.
Eh!
Nambi stopped, drawing another necklace. Nambi stopped, drawing another necklace from a pocket in her robes, and gestured imperiously until Ray bent down again and she could slip it over Ray's head.
There! Now you're proper.
Again, the exact meaning of what she was saying wasn't clear, but Ray didn't think it mattered. Thank you, she said, touching it gently. It's lovely. Nambi nodded proudly and drew her onward. Nambi, Ray said tentatively, the ancestors.
They come to celebrate with us.
Nambi said.
We honor them with the festival, and then they return to the next life.
Not really all that different than Force ghosts, then. Ray reflected wryly that the galaxy was a whole lot weirder than she had imagined on Jakku. But to be fair, it was also fascinating. No one looked twice at them. A daughter of the Aki-Aki towing an alien through the crowd. Is this something all the children do? They were nearing a line of booths selling what looked to be decorations. Nambi, Ray said, thinking back. Do you remember when you asked me about my family name? Nambi glanced up at her.
Do you have one now?
I do. Shy pride stirred in Ray, mixed with sorrow. It's Skywalker.
That's the good name.
Oh, Jason, I thought it was Nambi too, but it wasn't Nambi who spoke. Ray stopped in shock. Ray stopped in shock, looking up at the shadowed form standing between two of the booths.
I'm sorry, but that was amazing! I'm sorry, what the hell? That was beautiful.
Jason, you're cutting out. Could you repeat that?
Okay. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Oh my god.
Ray stopped in shock, looking up at the shadowed form standing between two of the booths.
It is good.
Nambi agreed and released Ray with the air of one who had accomplished a great task.
There! You are found. I'm sorry.
She patted Ray's hand. Sorry, someone say something.
No, sorry, that was me by accident.
She patted Ray's hand and disappeared in a swirl of robes. Ray hardly noticed her leaving. She couldn't pull her gaze from the tall figure. Ben. He stepped forward into the light, hesitant, eyes wide and a hint of a smile tilting the corners of his mouth. He was dressed not in scorched and holed black, but a white... Oh, God. He was dressed not in scorched and holed black, but a white shirt and dark gray trousers. And the fearsome injuries he'd sustained at Exegol were gone, as if they had never been. All right, let me see this. Ray Skywalker. You want to do it, Savior? Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna do it. Ray Skywalker.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I kind of thought the echo would work because he's a ghost.
close enough. We're so sorry, author. This is you put in legitimate emotional work, and we're just pissing this.
I'm trying my best.
This is legitimate good work, and we're like our flavoring. I'm not sure. I think it's. I don't know if it works or not, but
That's one way to put it.
yeah, flavor. We're adding flavor to this. Not necessarily good flavor, but it's flavor.
It'll make it more entertaining, that's for sure.
Yeah, right? That said, your work is pretty good so far, actually.
Yeah.
All right, can you repeat that line again, Savior?
Rey Skywalker. It's fitted.
Of course, you would come here now. Joy and grief tangled in Ray, spilling over into a tear-laced smile that felt as if it might split her face. Ben's own smile grew as their eyes met, just as bittersweet, though his hands stayed clasped behind his back. It seemed right, she managed, voice hoarse, and your family approved. Ben nodded once.
Hang on. Okay, there we go. So they should.
His gaze was fixed on her face, and Ray made a tiny sound as the bond between them opened again. The light and sorrow poured through it, regret, and that firm unity that they had known for such a short time. She had to blink to clear her vision, and she could see wet trails on Ben's cheeks too. I guess ghosts can cry. How did Nambi know? Ben shook his head.
He brought you. That's all I know.
The festival of the ancestors, Ray murmured.
What do you?
Ray murmured. It must thin the walls of reality, but I never expected. It ends at dawn, Ben. How could they bear this? To be together only until the festival's end. How could they not?
We have this time.
Ben said, and Ray could tell how much he wanted to reach for her, to touch her again, and to feel her warm and alive in his arms.
We'll have to make the most of it.
Ray nodded, taking a deep breath. We will. Ben swallowed, eyes clouding.
Ray, I'm...
She knew what he was going to say, and she cut him off. No regrets, no apologies, not now. He bit his lip, then bowed his head, shoulders easing.
All right.
The joy bubbled up, and Ray grinned. Come on, we can watch the color works. If things were as they should have been, Ray thought, then apologies would have been in order. But she refused to mar this little time with guilt. They walked side by side back into the festival, oh so careful to maintain a little distance between them. Ray ached with the desire to brush his fingers with hers, to slip her arm through his, to touch the dimple lingering in his cheek. But she couldn't bear to watch her hand pass through him. It was easier to pretend that they could, and chose not to. They watched a musical performance with drums that made the ground quiver under their feet, and clapped along with someone reciting rhythmic poetry. And the sight of Ben's solo, relaxed enough to keep the beat with ungloved hands, nearly made Ray weep again. And circled around. Oh gosh. and they circled around the sacrificial fires tended by chanting celebrate, sparks rising into the darkening air.
You should eat.
Ben said, when Ray's mouth watered at the delicious odor of something roasting.
You don't eat enough.
How would you know? Ray said, keeping the words light, and the soft look he gave her pulsed warm through her.
I know you.
He murmured, and even over the rumble of the festival she heard him.
As you know me.
I'll see that it's done.
I like how the author is like kind of playing up the dyad part of their relationship.
Yeah.
Ready.
And he was right.
Hmm?
Was that an echo or is that Xavier saying something?
No, I turned the echo off.
All right. And she was right. And he was right. So she bought meat and bread and some kind of multicolored confection on a long skewer and savored every bit. Ben watched her eat with the same soft smile, and Ray buried the wish to offer him a bite and smiled back. They walked out into the desert and they walked out into the desert as the stars came out, burning bright and deep overhead.
Let's do our best to minimize the
There were 1,000 questions Ray wanted to ask, so many things she wanted to tell Ben, and she knew the same was true for him, but there simply wasn't time. So they walked together, silent, hearts singing to one another along the bond.
started.
It wasn't enough. It could never be enough. But it was what they had. Sometimes thoughts would slip through. Ben's.
Oh, hang on. I hate to see you sad.
Or Ray's, your mother will be very proud. Or just, you are so beautiful. And that one could have come from either of them. Ben's non-corporeal ears could turn pink, Ray discovered with delight. And found too that he could... What'd you say, Jason?
No, sorry, that was me making a comment.
Ben's non-corporeal ears could turn pink, Ray discovered with delight, and found too that he could generate enough of a force push to stroke a strand of hair from her face. Eventually, they settled at the base of a rock just within sight of the festival. Still warm from the desert day, Ray sat cross-legged, keeping her hands carefully in her lap. Ben pulled up his legs and wrapped his arms around them, so close that if he had been solid, the hairs on her... Excuse me. So close that if he had been solid, the hairs on her skin would have felt his presence. He laid his head on his knees, watching her, the starlight bright enough to make out their gleam. It's not long enough. She brought out her comlink. When Chewbacca didn't answer, she called C-3PO.
Excellent.
Mrs. Ray,
I hope
He sounded alarmed.
are you alright?
She rolled her eyes fondly. I'm fine. I'm taking a walk. Tell Chewie I'll be back at sunrise, okay?
Very well. Be careful, Mrs. Ray.
You too, 3PO. She said, amused, and put the comlink away.
Hang on, where's the echo? Here it is. I'm glad Chewie's alright.
Ben said quietly.
I did wonder.
They had been his family too. Chewbacca, even the droids. Ray nodded. He's been very kind.
mission failed.
Words faded away, and she was caught up in the bond again, feeling Ben's passionate gratitude that Chewbacca was looking after her, laced with sorrow that it couldn't be him. Ray breathed out and opened herself, showing him the shy delight that he wanted to. Her own yearning to care for him in turn. There were too many words, so they spoke none of them. They simply dwelt in each other, in the harmony that had been so quickly shattered in life. Ray's ache of missing Ben didn't disappear, but it was soothed down to something less jagged, more patient. Together. Oh wait, that's Ben.
That's Ben, yeah. Together.
His mind whispered to hers.
Together. For now.
And later, hers returned, though how long that would be, they could not know. The stars wheeled overhead as they walked the paths of one another's spirits, holding happiness as the fragile, fleeting thing it was. When a hint of light appeared along the horizon, cold dread welled in Ray's gut. The festival had rumbled at the edge of their hearing all night. The festival had rumbled at the edge of their hearing all night. but now the drums were beating one rhythm together, and the gleam of fire grew as more were kindled, burning orange and blue and green. What will happen to you? She asked, already tasting ashes on her tongue.
I hear you.
I think I'll go back.
Ben's voice was thick. He tried to show her where he'd been, but the memory had not transferred, and Ray suspected that it was not something. Ray suspected that it was not something the living could know.
I don't want to.
Her hand spasmed and clenched with the need to take his, to grab hold and keep him. Ben. Excuse me. The light was strengthening, and the drums beat faster. She could see his face now as the dawn strengthened, strained and desperate.
What is it?
Ray, I'm sorry.
The drums crashed and stopped. The fires went out. Pasana's sun broke past the horizon. Nothing happened. For a long, long moment, they stared at each other.
What's my task?
Thoughts spun wildly through Ray's head. How long does it take the ancestors to fade? Is he stranded here somehow? And then she saw it, spilling over the sand next to them.
Yes.
Ben's shadow. Oh. Oh! Ray reached out slowly, fingers shaking. His hand rose to meet hers, hesitated. Warm. His skin was warm and soft and real.
I wonder if there's any need for me to
Their fingers slid together, clasping, tightening. A blurred sound tore from her throat, and his breath caught. Are we dreaming? Ben lifted their hands, pressed his cheek against her fingers.
I don't think so.
got excellent taste.
Yadiako's gone.
His
since
voice
he's not-
cracked.
Yeah.
His voice cracked. Ray squeaked and drew herself forward. And yes, he was solid, holding her tight. Joy filled them like the morning light, pure and unmixed with sorrow. Ray's ribs hurt with the squeeze, and on some level she was pretty sure she was half strangling Ben, but neither of them cared. He's here! He's here! He's not leaving! His hair was cool and soft against her palm, and he shook in her grasp. The constant gasp of her name against her shoulder made her choke, and pulled him closer still. They held each other as the sun rose, lost in the impossible made real, and Ray couldn't even wonder how it had happened. The only thing that mattered was that she had Ben back. And when their arms loosened enough for his lips to track from her ear to her mouth, Ray lost the thought entirely.
Base is under attack.
The sun was fully up before the sudden growl of his stomach startled them both into laughter. I guess you really are here, Ray managed, blinking lashes sticky with tears.
All right.
Her own stomach was asserting its needs as well, and at the edge of her perceptions, she could sense a familiar stalwart soul, Chewie, out looking for her now that dawn had come and gone.
I am.
Ben said, still with an edge of wonder.
Ray, there's a lot that I need to say to you now that there's time.
Guilt and regret. Yes, she could understand that. And he was right. It did need to be spoken. Apologies offered and acknowledgments made. But Ray pushed to her feet, dusting sand from her leggings, and held out a hand to pull Ben up. This time, she agreed. So maybe after breakfast. His grin took her breath away all over again. Fingers linked, they set off towards the Falcon.
That's a pretty necklace, by the way.
Ben said.
I liked the other one too.
His voice was rueful, and Ray snorted and nudged him. You didn't even know you could do that, did you? She asked with sudden insight, and Ben shook his head.
It was impulse.
He broke off, lifting his head. Far ahead of them, a tall figure loped into sight. Ben stiffened, steps slowing, but Rey didn't let him go. Trust me, it'll be fine, she told him, and kept walking. His apprehension rippled through the bond, but he obeyed her tug. Chewbacca halted, staring. Rey waved. Chewie's howl split the air and echoed off the rocks. He charged forward, kicking up sand, and beside her, Ben braced himself. But there was no resisting a Wookiee hug, and Rey laughed as Chewie snatched Ben off his feet, scolding and rejoicing so loudly that Ben's oof was all but lost. Rey folded her arms and watched as Ben clung to his uncle and was content.
Insert Roblox oof here.
Oof.
I'm gonna say oof as well.
It was some minutes before a somewhat disheveled Ben was set back down, breathless and smiling sheepishly. Chewbacca smoothed his hair with one big hand.
That's better.
Right here.
He commented.
Ready.
No, come. It's time to eat.
Ben blinked up at him. Rey leaned over and captured Ben's hand again as Chewie began herding them towards the Falcon.
Just like that?
But it's done.
Ben asked her silently, half humor and half uncertainty. Rey squeezed his fingers. Just like that. He nodded and kissed her hand.
Then let's go.
Together, Rey affirmed, and watched his smile widen. They turned their faces into the light and walked home. And that is the end of Festival of the Ancestors.
That was actually kind of fun.
That was really good.
Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting, honestly, but that was actually pretty well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The writing
I
is-
liked it even though I didn't know like a good portion of the of stuff happened for episode 9.
And in
Yeah.
some respects, that is like the good hallmark of that's like the hallmark of a good fan fiction.
Yeah.
Also, I hope I wasn't directing you, by the way, with the comments.
No,
No.
it's fine. We
No,
there-
because
Oh, talking about me?
During the whole time, I was texting Harry in the chat for the game.
No, it's fine.
All right.
But
so yeah,
I the base.
yeah.
I enjoyed this.
Yeah, if we can find more good Star Wars stuff in the future, I won't mind seeing what other people can come up with. Like, it doesn't have to be a ship fic, obviously, but just, you know. This is like the first time I've actually delved into Star Wars fanfic territory, and I don't know what else there is out there, but this was a really good first impression, I will say.
If all shipping stories were as good as this one, I would probably read more shipping stories.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could find. I didn't even read a lot. I read a fan fiction actually.
Yeah.
Probably good.
Could you repeat that, Jason?
Yeah, you're cutting out really. You're cutting out really badly.
How about now?
A
It's,
bit better.
I unplugged my headphones now.
okay. Yeah, that sounds better.
I also might be moving into their territory right now.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I was balancing everything I was reading.
Yeah, interesting is how I would describe the story.
Yeah.
I'm really glad nobody was criticizing me. I was afraid of that.
Audio issues are a hallmark of this series. From me.
Yeah, it was really bad in the last 2 sessions.
It's a curse. A curse.
Yeah.
As for the story at hand, yeah, I'm not sure. Putting aside whatever umbrage I take with Rey and Kylo Ren as a pairing, this is about as, like, again, I like story. Like, as someone who's
Yeah.
kind of iffy on the pairing, I like it.
Yeah. And like after episode 9, I mean, I think it's kind of funny doing a Reylo fic in context.
Like, the fact that like I waited. I was kind of happy I didn't read any stories until after episode 9 because now I have some closure for those two.
Yeah.
Like, this gave me something that episode 9 couldn't do by design, like closure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure, like, I'm unsure of whether Ben deserves resurrection, but whatever. I've gone through several scenarios where Anakin gets to live another year or so, so...
Yeah, I mean, loads of stories
You know
do that. It's like,
Sorry, but you know what's funny during all that? Every time I said Ben, I kept thinking Ben Kenobi.
I thought that at first too. I don't know why.
Because...
Like, I had to look at the fact that the stream was called Reylo Thick Lol just to, know, to get an idea what was going on.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I don't want to think of Rey and Obi-Wan.
That, no, no!
No, I know, I was joking.
No.
Oh,
Hello there.
God,
Oh no!
we don't need people getting those ideas. That's terrifying.
Oh, too late, Harry. Too late.
Oh, the villager needs help.
I hate the stupid villagers.
Oh, you think that's bad? Try doing some of the Gold Rush missions where they're a little glitchy at times.
But yeah, what else do we have to say about this?
Yeah, it leaves the story is open-ended enough that I'm willing to accept Ben's kind of sudden resurrection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah,
fair.
writing is good. I do like that it serves kind of... it fleshes out Rey,
Oh, God.
like what Rey would probably be doing after she finished her errands in episode 9. Yeah, I like it. Like, it's a shipper story, but it also fleshes out the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Guy's gonna die.
Yeah, he's dead.
Also, it has Nambi Gima from Pasana, and I love her. She's precious.
What the hell? Why? Oh, right, I can't change when I'm in this.
Bring back Bring back Elephant Cthulhu Girl in the expanded universe.
Oh, you just missed her.
Yeah. It's a well-written story, and it's actually I was invested in the romance of two characters I generally don't pair off, so
Mm-hmm.
so thank you, author name VR Trakowski.
Oh my god.
I salute you
Whatever.
for that.
Did something happen, Harry?
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
What, another loss happened?
Yeah.
Oh, but the allied commander went down, right?
I think so. Oh well, whatever.
An ally has been slain.
This question: does Lissa have a heal stab on her?
I'm not sure.
If any of the Pegasus Knights are promoted, they can use stabs to heal. So that would be a good idea to keep somebody close by.
Okay.
So, final thoughts, Xavier?
I thought it was pretty good. Let's see. I feel like a lot of the stuff that you said is also like pretty good. It's definitely nice to have a bit more closure because that's one thing that episode 9 didn't really have a lot of. I mean, like I don't like, and this is coming from someone who's a casual Star Wars fan. I'm not like the most. I'm not like the most hardcore Star Wars fan, so I don't know too much about like the deep lore about what happens in between the prequels and in between the prequels of the prequels. Because I know the expanded universe.
The prequels of the prequels of the prequels.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the prequels of the prequels, the pre-sequels.
Yeah.
And then the sequels to the pre-sequel.
Oh gosh, I've gone cross-eyed.
We're getting some Borderland shit here.
Yeah,
that
seriously.
was a joke.
Let me just. You know what?
Well,
now that Harry's Warriors. I'm switching to Warriors.
Well, thankfully for us, this story was written at a time when Disney hasn't done much with Rey post Episode 9, so there's not much expanded universe material to even contradict.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this is after episode 9, so they can just Fix can do whatever the hell they want right now,
Yeah.
for better or worse.
Yeah, that is kind of the paradox of being a Star Wars fan fiction writer. You might have the best idea to focus on this one character who was like a minor player in the movies and expand on them, but too bad an author in the expanded universe is going to do that officially.
Reminds me of a thing where like Yamcha actually was able to do shit.
Yeah.
Oh my. Like if you're trying to do like there's many kinds of fan fiction writing, and there's like AU fan fiction and then there's like quote unquote canon fan fiction.
Oh, yeah, there's, yeah.
Like as in they try to stay on brand with the franchise, might try to keep it within general boundaries of storytelling.
Yeah, AU, they could literally put the characters in a completely different scenario or like story setting.
We do the real world.
It's like I can't think of an example right now, but
Gender flips.
yeah, something like that. But like it's like
Yeah.
AUs just kind of do whatever the hell they want. It's like they just it's like
Gender
it's
flips where Kylo is suddenly an acrobat in the circus.
nice.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, AUs can be kind of fun when they're done right, but yeah, it's like,
So they're not
yes, yeah. It all depends on how people write the characters in certain worlds, I guess.
Yeah, I think I generally lean more towards the canon, again with air quotes, style of fan fiction writing, but
Yeah.
the problem with Star Wars is that the expanded universe is literally the fan fiction for the movies. Like it's hard to fill in the gaps when the authors are going to be doing that eventually.
The thing with Star Wars is that since it's like a bunch of like planets that have their own like ecosystems and life and whatnot in them, you could literally just do whatever the hell you want, honestly, because like it's pretty much just endless possibilities.
Yeah, easier with your. I mean, yeah, it's easier to do a story about like Joe Schmo on Coruscant's lower levels, but
Yeah.
if you're interested in doing something with like, Rey or Chewbacca, yeah, the expanded universe is probably going to cover that eventually.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, when you go to I guess when you go to a Star Wars fanfic, you expect the, like, main cast members. But if people really wanted to, they could just loosely make it a Star Wars story where it's just some random-ass planet, and it's just, this is based in the Star Wars universe, but none of the known characters are actually in this, so it's just kind of, at that point, it would just be a Star Wars fic by name.
I mean, the expanded universe does that as well. Like, that's the
I
beauty of
guess.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
The universe is the draw, not just the characters themselves.
Yeah, and yeah, the sequels made the universe feel a bit too tiny, but that's a story for another time.
Also, I got no comments on the story myself. I haven't even seen episode 8 to say that.
Congratulations, you have been spared several years of salt on the internet.
Oh, oh God, I don't want to get into that today.
I don't want to play it.
Now imagine if Joey was here to read the story with us.
Oh, he'd be ripping.
All right, Xander, let's go.
Well, I guess, overall, this is a interesting story, and you, VR Trakowski, succeeded in bringing into fruition a concept that I wasn't really all that fond of in episode 9 itself, so kudos.
Yeah, you made it a lot more believable.
Yeah.
So, I guess that will be the end of the episode then, and who knows, perhaps we will record the next episode in the following week instead of 2 weeks from now because this was relatively short.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna ask this now then. So the fic I sent you yesterday. Do you want to just do that next, or do you want me to find another one?
It's if you can find one, then we'll do that. If not, then we'll do the Sunshine story.
Okay. So we'll try next Monday then.
Yep, we'll see.
All right. So you
We're
guys.
gonna read idols.
Oh
Indeed.
boy.
I'd like to thank my co-actors for contributing their talents today.
For what talent I have, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Oh.
And Harry for recording this and actually getting to go to sleep at a reasonable, by his standards, hour.
Yeah, it was a good idea that we just did one thing today.
Yeah, definitely.
And we thank you, VR Tarkowski, for offering the story.
Yes.
I could also shout out to the developers of Voice Mod Pro for basically allowing me to provide a bit of more flavor to this.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh god, no.
Yep, we're bringing this gag back.
No.
I couldn't help it.
Okay.
What's your name? Ray. What's your full name? Release the Snyder Cut.
And I also reminds me of like what another version of that I saw like, what's your name? Ray. Your full name? Wario.
Oh.
For fuck's sake.
Oh.
Okay, you guys got anything else? Are we done?
Yeah, we good.
Happy
Like,
belated May the 4th, and may the Force be with all of you.
Yes.
Yep. And also shout outs to Disney for trying to copyright that phrase because they want to buy everything. That was sarcastic, by the way.
Alright, so I guess we'll see you in the next you guys in the next episode.
Yep.
Are you gonna keep playing, by the way, Harry?
I have no idea. Alright, I'll stop the stream now, I guess.